Hey everybody, John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing, December 21st, getting close to Christmas and the New Year. So we have some complexity in the forecast here. We're going to change out our weather regimes 2 or 3 times between now and over the next 3 weeks, and that's going to affect temperatures quite a bit, precipitation as well. So I want to talk about that in today's weather briefing. So let's get started. Well, first off, last week one of the action spots was the Alberta Clipper type winter storm that moved from southwest to east, southwest to southeast. Produced some very heavy snow over parts of the upper Midwest, North Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Now behind that, well, let's take a look at, first of all, the precipitation from a national perspective. And the west coast really got clobbered with the atmospheric river of moisture pushing onshore. Then we also had widespread rain over the Ohio River Valley, and that had a pretty big impact on our rivers in a positive perspective. Now, as far as snow goes, last week, here's our Clipper system, the path of the Clipper system right through here. And we had higher elevation snow in the west as well. Okay, behind the Clipper system, colder air moves in, and that's real typical. That's what Clipper systems do, bring in cold Arctic air behind it. And you can see the temperatures this morning near zero in the Great Lakes. I don't know if that's a -11 or if that's a -1 with a +1. -11 looks like an outlier. Let's just say it's really cold near zero with a fresh snowpack on the ground, and that's influencing temperatures as well. Now before that, temperatures were fairly mild last week. Temperatures were above normal, anything in yellow and orange and even red. Texas experienced temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal, and Texas and Florida were the warm spots last week, as you might suspect. So the hottest temperatures last week made it above 85 degrees in these areas of sort of maroon here or purple, and anywhere in the red made it above 80. Now the cold air pushed in, and we had temperatures well below zero, anything in the purple, the northern regime of northern areas of the U.S. That's a time of year when we would expect that cold temperature in these regions. Now I talked about rivers here, and you can see a couple yellow dots and even some orange dots, and these are beginning to get up towards high river flows. And hey, take a look at, we look at Memphis a lot. Look at Memphis here. This is the low flow in brown, and look how much water we've put in to the river. So that's really alleviated the river transportation concerns, at least for the time being, on the Ohio and the lower Mississippi. Okay, so I talked about these weather regimes, the big picture, and we're entering a Pacific trough. That's a trough of low pressure off the west coast, ridge of high pressure over the western U.S. into the central U.S., and then as we get towards the end of the year, switch over to Alaska ridge type pattern. So I'm going to be talking about what that means for our weather. So here's the trough in the west, the Pacific trough, and here's a ridge that pushes up, and that'll be bringing warmer weather. Now the complicating factor is embedded in that big flow. So here's the big flow, a trough here, a ridge here, and if it was that simple, we'd have cooler weather here and warmer weather here, but we have these little areas of low pressure sort of traversing underneath that ridge, and what that will do is bring us a chance of rain. Okay, so a week from now, what do we have? Well, we start to break that down, and we start to get into our next regime, and we're going to have some temperature changes with that. So we can see that here with the Pacific trough, this milder air as we go through the first 5 days and then the next 5 days. So over the next 10 days through the end of the month of December, we're generally dominated by this ridge of high pressure, the Pacific trough in the west, and that's milder weather over most of the nation. Then as we get into the New Year's period, into the first week of January, we start to get some changes, and that's gradually going to be bringing in some colder air over many areas. Okay, let's talk about precipitation. Well, this week, again, what we're going to look at is the central U.S. for some rain. That'll help our rivers. And then the Pacific Northwest looks like it's going to be the most active spot with a number of Pacific storms, focused flow. That's going to bring some really heavy rain, some snow, very heavy snow at higher elevations of the Cascades. And you can see that snow here. Here's the heavy higher elevation snow, the Rockies, and then some lighter amounts over the northern tier of the U.S. So still no major snowstorms. I'm a little concerned maybe as we transition into our different regime early in the year, we might have to look for something. But right now it looks like pretty similar to what we had over the last week in the west, and maybe some lighter snow elsewhere, not nearly as much as we saw last week. Okay, let's look out a little bit further here. This is the extended, and you can see right through maybe 10 days we start to have that mild weather, so lots of red. Matter of fact, it's going to melt all that snow with this well above normal 6 to 10 day outlook here for the Great Lakes. So many areas in the Midwest are going to have a period of some really mild weather, but take a look at weeks 3 and 4. That's where I think we might have a change. Now, that's way out there. I'll be letting you know what I see on that, but it looks like we could have one major change as we get into the Pacific trough with the mild weather right here, and then a second major change maybe out weeks 3 and 4 as we get into a different pattern at that time. But that's way out there. Also look at the green. We could be having some wet weather if you're traveling for holiday travel. That's more in the form of rain than snow with all this mild weather. That's this week's briefing. It's going to be the holiday week with Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And I will probably be not doing a briefing next weekend. Be back the following week. I'll be keeping an eye on things. I'll be putting some posts out, but I know everybody's interest and attention will be elsewhere, so it'll be a little bit on the light side. Hope you have a great holiday. Take care.